cool.
Like the Phoenix Rising, the band Riding Northbound rose from the ashes during the Melbourne's darkest days. Riding Northbound released their debut EP in 2021, which was really a mix of melodic blues, Guitar Hero-esque solos, and classic rock. Tonight I'm joined by Mark DeGiorgio, the drummer from the band Riding Northbound. How are you, mate? What's going on?
I'm great, mate. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, going really well, mate. Sorry for the
That's good.
very bad intro there, but
no, I love the Guitar Hero part. That was cool. That was awesome. The Rise of the Phoenix. Yeah, great.
Rising with Guitar Hero, mate. There's nothing better, right?
Oh, mate, absolutely.
Fantastic. So we're going to get on to some of the great stuff that you're doing in Riding Northbound. But first off, mate, where did you discover your passion for music?
Well, for me, I was really lucky. I found it very young. I was only 5 years old, and my parents separated. My dad lived with a mate who was a drummer. His name's George Brown. I'll give him a plug. Yeah. And he had a drum kit sitting in the spare bedroom, and I just saw it and was in awe of it. As I said, I was only 4 or 5, and he handed me a pair of sticks one day and said, do you want to try it? And I said, yeah. So I started playing, and I don't know if people have noticed, but I'm left-handed, and the kit was set up right-handed. So I found it really difficult to do anything, And he goes, hang on a minute, what hand do you write with? And I said, my left. And he goes, so he changed it around.
Oh, wow.
And within about half an hour, I was playing a 4/4 rock beat. He taught me how to play it. So, and in all honesty, from that day on, I've never looked back. It was just, this is what I want to do. So yeah, 5 years old. So it's been a long time. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So that's a long story short. Yeah.
So George was a bit of an inspiration back in those days, but was there any particular band as well that you followed that you really modeled that drumming style on?
Yeah, well, I've got to thank my dad for that, because he was a huge Dire Straits fan.
Yeah. Awesome.
So great start for me. I mean, what a band. And at that age, they just brought out Alchemy, their live concert. So I used to sit there glued to it, just watching. Terry Williams was the drummer at the time, and I was just obsessed with them. So obviously that was the first stuff I started learning. So that was the first band I really got into. I really, really freaked out over. So yeah.
Geez, they even got better after that, right? Because Brothers in Arms came out after that, which was probably the epicenter of all great music at the time, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the production on that album now still stands up. It's just crazy. It's a great record. So so I was really lucky to find it very early. I was 4 or 5, and as I said, I've just never looked back from there. So I've been playing my whole life, basically. Yeah. Yep.
So when did you first start playing in a band yourself, mate? At what age did you start venturing out into that world?
Well, I didn't actually get my own kit until I was about 15. So there was a good 10-year gap there that I was just playing on friends' kits, and one of my uncles had a kit. Excuse me. So I had a pillow set up in my bedroom with wooden spoons, and that's where I got my chops. I'm self-taught. I've never had lessons, so I just got my muscle memory and stuff like that. Yeah. So I kind of got my muscle memory happening at a young age, just doing that, just sitting in my bedroom listening to. Later on, it was Motley Crue and all the hair metal stuff. I got into that. So.
Of course, mate. Some of us grow up, and then there's people like me that still listen to that stuff.
So do I, man. Appetite for Destruction is still one of my favorite records. So, but that's how that started. But I got a kit when I was about 14 or 15, then hooked up with a few mates at school and their older brothers. And so probably about 15, 16 was when I kind of got serious about it, started writing music and playing covers and just learning how to collaborate with other people. So, yeah.
Nice. So what were the first cover bands that you started out, mate? Well, what style of music were you building out tunes at that point?
Well, the first one, I remember we were doing a lot of David Bowie kind of stuff like that, a bit of Toto, bands like that. We had a great keyboard player, so we were pretty spoiled to be able to play a lot of stuff. So, yeah, it was all that kind of 70s kind of rock stuff, bit of Sabbath and all that. Yeah. And then first professional gig I ever did was in a Stone Temple Pilots tribute band that we started.
Nice.
So I love that band. I love the 90s alternative stuff, and that was right up my alley. So my first gig, I think I was 17. I wasn't even allowed to be in the venue. I was too young, but first paid gig was doing the pilot stuff. So did that. So that was good fun. Yeah.
Do you still revisit the old Stone Temple Pilots stuff, mate, when you're back there on your drum kit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I bought the whole collection on vinyl as well. Yeah, I love the band, so I'm always going to love that band. They're just great. Scott Whalen was, one of the best singers around. great, melodies and his voice and lyrics and everything, just everything about those guys. So yeah.
An absolute tragic loss. I actually brought Purple on vinyl about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Classic
beautiful.
album.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
I will
That's
be looking.
I think it's my favorite one, honestly. Purple.
Yeah, I think Purple was the first record that I really got into the Pilots on, but everything else classic out of their stuff, even their debut album. I reckon the classic rock tunes on there.
Yeah, that's a great record. Yeah.
To talk about Stone Temple Pilots, mate.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about your good self. All right, so you obviously graduated from those cover bands where you were playing a lot of that classic rock stuff,
Sure.
The Bowie stuff.
Mm.
Then we'll fast forward to what happened in Melbourne with COVID. I mean, Melbourne, I think it was the most locked down city in the world, right?
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Yeah. How, as an artist, did you keep the inspiration? Everything's off the radar. You're not doing gigs. You're not playing out in front of the masses anymore.
Yeah.
You're locked in your home for a period of 2 years. How did you keep the motivation up to keep playing music during that time?
Well, to put it quite simply, I set up a studio. I never had a studio on my home before that because I was always gigging and out and about. And I had some basic gear laying around, that I could just sort of get a little 8-track studio going. So I thought, I'm going to clear out my spare room, and everything just went away overnight. I'm sitting there looking at my gear in my spare room, going, what do I do? So I thought, bugger it. I went to Clark Rubber and I bought a lot of acoustic foam and I padded up the walls and set up a little makeshift studio just for something to do to keep the chops up. I mean, I thought it was going to be a couple of months. We all thought, oh, well, it's just a short-term thing. But yeah, so that's what I did. And most of us did that in Melbourne. A lot of good bands came out of COVID, I've got to say, because everyone was bored. So we all got creative, So yeah, that's how I did it.
Interesting you say, because this is where Riding Northbound really got together. And that story a little bit. John McNamara, an accomplished guitarist and vocalist himself, Sean Clinton on guitar, Chris Rourke on bass. How did the four of you get together and decide, we've got to do something and start getting out of this crazy world?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if you know, but we didn't know. Not all of us knew each other.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so I'll try and get this right. Chris had done a couple of gigs with John, just at blues festivals and things like that, but didn't really know him too well. Chris knew Sean, but John didn't know Sean, and I knew Sean. So we're all very separate. That didn't make any sense. But I only knew Sean, and that's it. I'd never heard of John or Chris at all. They'd never heard of me either.
Right.
So it started with Chris wrote Riding Northbound, the first tune, and it started as a little blues, sort of real basic blues tune. And from what he's told me, he sort of took a punt and goes, "Oh, that guy John, I'll see if he wants to sing on it." Because he loved his voice. And luckily for us, John said yes. So he's like, "Oh, okay." So we did some vocals on it. And then he wasn't quite happy with the vibe of the song, Chris. He sent it off to Sean, said, "Mate, do you want to do something with it?" And Sean came up with the main riff and made it a rock song. And then, Sean was like, "I've got a drummer." So he just texted me. It was actually one night I set up the studio and I remember sitting there on the floor with a beer in my hand, looking at my drums going, "This is great, but I've got nothing to do." I thought, what am I going to do in here? And my phone went off. I got a ding and I looked at it and it was Sean. And all he said to me was, "Hey, mate, would you like to play on a little 2.5-minute tune I'm working on?" And I said, "Absolutely." I was so excited. I'm like, "Oh, I got something to do," and it was that song. So I did my drums, sent it off. I had no idea what it was for. I thought, I don't know, maybe it's something he's already done years ago, or I don't know, I'll just do it.
Yep.
And I got the mix back and it sounded great. I was like, sounds pretty cool. I didn't know John's name or Chris or anybody.
Wow.
So that's literally how it started. We didn't get together until 4 songs later. We'd released 4 songs and recorded them and done videos in isolation and that. And then we finally had a Zoom meeting and met in person. So it was a good 4 or 5 months before we actually got to know each other.
So you've recorded 4 tracks and hadn't met any of them?
No, 4 tracks until we actually had a Zoom meeting as well. So I'd never spoken to John or Chris, and so we had them out there on Apple Music and Spotify, and we were just doing it for fun. So we were quite lazy. I know we didn't even think about a band name. It's just the first name of the song, and that's what we put up on Facebook and everything. So we'll just call the band that. It just sort of fell into place that way. So it's a strange way to start a band.
That first track that you wrote or that you played on, that was what became the Riding Northbound song?
That's right, yeah.
So you've released a song, Riding Northbound. What do we call ourselves? Bam, Riding Northbound it is.
Well, it seemed to work, yeah. So, but that's the thing. That the great thing about our band, there's nothing up to this point. There hasn't really been much that's been thought out too much. We just do our thing, and it pretty much spills out of us organically. You know, we don't sit down and we really come up with structures or anything. We just sort of jam, and well, these
Yeah.
days we get together and jam. But back then it was like, all right, here's a track, play your drums, and no one criticizes anyone. We just write what the song needs, and it's works. So I keep hitting that chord. Yeah, so it's pretty cool, you know, the way it's all come about. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So you
that's how it
mentioned that.
started.
That's fantastic. That's an amazing story. And while she said there was a lot of creativity happening in Melbourne, I don't think there would be too many stories like yours where you haven't met,
Yeah.
recorded 4 songs together. You released the EP, the Riding Northbound EP. The
Mm.
lead track is a track that we've spoken about, Riding Northbound. It's a classic blues track. But then you head into the second track, Sweet Surrender,
Mm.
a classic power ballad, if I could say, which
Yeah,
wouldn't be out of place in the 80s or even on the Sunset Strip, right?
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how did that song come around then? So,
Well, as I said, you know, following on from what I just said about Riding Northbound, we did the video and we got a really good response. You know, we put it out there and got a few thousand views overnight, and people really liked it. So, and Sean Klinger, our guitar player, he just sent me this little riff, and it was that intro to Sweet Surrender.
yeah.
And he goes, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Man, that's great. You know, just a real basic little thing." But I said, "Man, do something with it." So I think it was 2 days later, I had a complete song without drums. So I got a guide track. And I'm like, whoa, okay. No vocals or anything, but the arrangement was all there. Sean's great like that. He's a very talented songwriter. So I got that and I said, all right, I'll get busy. So within a week or so, I wrote my part. I sent it back to him and then he sent it off to the boys. And we did it exactly the same as the first track. So yeah, we just did everything in isolation. Everybody did their parts, and John put that amazing melody over it in his voice. You know, it just really finished off the song beautifully. So yeah, and we did the same thing, and then we decided to do a video as well for that. So it was the same process for both songs. Yeah, exactly the same. Mm.
You move into the third track, Alone with You. Um, Mate, if there was ever a reincarnation of Pink Floyd, this song is it.
Really? I've never heard anyone say that before.
I
love it.
Yeah, there's a bit of for me, it's a bit of jazz infusion, a bit of progressive rock in there. To me, yeah, it's another Pink Floyd track for my liking. But again,
cool.
not promoting them. You guys are doing your own stuff. Same recording process though. You know, you all work in isolation. How did this track come along though? Whose idea really kicked off this song?
Well, you know, once we did Sweet Surrender, realised people were enjoying it, and we wanted to keep going. John sort of dug through his archives, and he was like, oh, "I've got this little song that I wrote 20 years ago or 15 years ago." So all he had was the guitar melody, and it was that so we're like, "Yeah, cool, we can do something with that." So again, him and Shawnee collaborated a little while on that one, and just sort of came up with, you know, a bit of a melody and a bit of a vocal thing for a guide track. So it was the same process, but it came from John. And you know, the cool thing about this band and the way these boys write is, as soon as I get one of these songs, I kind of know what to do straight away. It's like it just pops. You know, they write themselves in a way. Like, these guys are so good at what they do that all I've got to do is put that little foundation on it, and it's done. You know, it's really really cool and organic for us. Yeah. So that's how. Yeah, it was the same thing, but it came from John this time, and it just took a little bit longer. But yeah, same process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the final track of the EP is one of the most classic love songs I've ever heard. Pulled In reminds me of my untrue love. No one in this world is going to keep me down. You know, just such beautiful lyrics in there as well.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you followed the same process. You haven't met someone, just laid down something, and bam, there it goes.
Well, we still hadn't met, but this song's actually got a bit more history. Sean has a solo album, which he recorded probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, and that song is on that album. So yeah, so he wrote that himself. That's Sean's thing, and he had session musos play on it and stuff. And he just had an idea one day to bring it to us and say, you know, maybe we can put our little touch on it and re-release it as a Northbound track. Wow. So yeah, so that's completely Sean's song, that one, and we just sort of put our touches and changed it up a little bit. So yeah, if people want to hear the original, they can look up Shawnee on Apple Music and Spotify, and that it's out there. So, but yeah, same recording process, but yeah, that was already written, that one. So.
Yeah. So if you are interested, Sean Klinger, he is on Apple Music and Spotify. Go search it up. He's going to be hard to beat this song though. Just another beautiful song to round out the album.
Yeah.
Move on. The new single, I say new, it's nearly 12 months old now, but Hold On. A slight change in direction. Is this when you guys actually started meeting and jamming together, or?
Just about. This is another one that Sean wrote. He told me this. He said he wrote it in the shower. The idea for the melody just came to him in the shower one day. He was like, "Oh!" So he jumped out the shower and laid it down. The story behind that, we still hadn't met yet, but Sean and I were writing songs on the side as well, just doing our little sort of thing between us for a bit of fun. And he said that to me as an idea and said, doing lay some drums. And as soon as I heard it, I fell in love with it. It was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Again, I knew what to play on it straight away. Sean's a really good singer as well. So it came to me with vocals, it came with bass, it came with guitar. It was already done. It just needed my piece, So I got the song and I tracked that within about a day. I think I learned it straight away and just went, I've got to do this now. And it's sat. We sort of put it aside for a little while because we were thinking of releasing it just between us, him and myself. And then I had a bit of an idea. Well, why don't we bring it to the guys? Because John would sound really great on this, and it'd be a good song for the band. So we did that, and we gave it to the guys, and they did their demos, and everything was cool. It wasn't recorded properly yet, but we in the between that we got together and we wrote and we had a bit of a band meeting. We all got along great, and we sort of spoke about a direction where we'd like to go with the band. And we were thinking of going more down the country road, sort of targeting the country blues kind of thing. And then and we realised, like you said, it's kind of a classic rock tune, and it didn't fit where we were thinking of heading. So we actually shelved it for a while. And we thought, you know what, maybe we'll put it aside and we might come back to it later and see where the band sort of progresses to. But it was always in the back of my mind, that we've got this great song that's doing nothing. We need to use it. And look, I've got a lot of rock influence as well. We've all got different influences. And I think we're more a rock band than anything. So I think I brought it up to the guys and said, how about we finish off Hold On? Everyone was like, yeah, we'll see what happens. And I just kept pushing it. So so thank God it ended up back in the mix, and we finished it off and then released it. So yeah.
So you still haven't formed at it this time. When you did meet, what was it like? It was almost
it was bizarre. Yeah, I mean the first Zoom meeting, we were all like, we should have a meeting and at least talk to each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I'm Mark. I'm the guy who's been playing on your stuff, and it was very, very funny. We all had a beer, we had a laugh, and we got along straight away. So at the end of the meeting, it was just like, do you want to be a band? We might as well keep going as we're doing really well. So we did, and then I think about a month later, we organised a rehearsal in Ballarat because John lives out in Clunes. He's miles away. Okay. That's about 3 hours from me, and then the other guys are like 2 hours the other way. So we're all from all over the place.
Oh wow!
And we drove up there, and it was really nice. It was like it's like we already had this history. We just hugged each other, and we were like, you're the guy, And we went in, we set up, we ran through the 5 songs we'd already released, and it felt like we'd been a band for a long time. It really did. It sounds cliche, but it really did. It just fell into place, and we're like, all right, let's write something.
Yeah.
And we wrote another song which we haven't released yet, and that just sort of fell out of us as well. It just came really organically. It was really cool. So so it was really good when we got together. We all went home feeling pretty good about it. We were excited. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what were the challenges though? Like, okay, you've recorded these 5 songs. You've gone away. You've met up with the guys. Were there any challenges? Were there any teething problems when you got into that studio or the rehearsal room together?
As a band, no. I've got to say it was really, really easy. We got up and we just did it, and everyone's approachable. It wasn't like there was no politics. There was no crap at all. We just got along and we had a beer and we wrote songs, and they sounded great. It was really easy. The only challenge really is the distance. It has been a little bit hard.
Yeah,
hard that way, And John's got his other band. I'll plug them as well, the McNamara Project, which are a great band. You've probably seen those guys.
Yeah.
They've just released an album and they're doing really well. But he was kind of busy with that, and he was working on his album over COVID as well. So we're all just trying to juggle. We didn't expect this to be anything. So I was like, all of a sudden we're going to try and fit this in with other stuff we were doing, But it really wasn't. It was only really a time thing, and the distance was a little bit of a challenge. But even that wasn't that hard. So as I said, it's all come about really easily. It really has. It's been fun. So yeah.
Did you write a song on that weekend away? When can we expect to hear that?
Well, we just did a TV appearance on Musicland. Music Melbourne. Yeah, we just did that, and we actually played that song. It's called Rise. So I don't think they've uploaded it yet, but we have footage of it. So we'll probably upload the live footage of that soon. And yeah, we've done some demos for it, but we're not quite ready to release it yet. So, but that won't be far away. We'll talk about that in the next stage as well. So yeah, but no, it's not far away. We've got a bunch of stuff that we'll be releasing very soon. So
Okay,
yeah.
so what does a bunch of stuff look like?
Okay, well, Rise is it's we didn't write it about COVID, but it's very relatable to hard times and everything that's come through. So we really want this one to be special, and we're taking our time on it.
Yeah, okay.
But it's going to be an album. We're in pre-production for a full album now. So we're looking at 2023 to be a big year for us.
Nice.
You know, we're looking at management. We want to go into a studio and record a proper album where no one has to worry about engineering themselves or anything. We could just be musicians and really get creative and come up with a killer record. So that's our plan now. So we've got enough material, but we're just trying to fine tune everything and pick the right songs and structure it right. Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of music land, are you fine crafting your tunes out in front of a live audience at all?
That was good fun. I mean, the funny thing is we hadn't done a gig for 5 months. So the last gig we did was in Rye. It was a festival down there, and that was a good day. But because John released the McNamara project, Run With Me, the album's called. I played drums on that record too, but he'd been busy touring that and promoting that and stuff, and the other guys were all busy as well. So we kind of put the band on hold a little bit, but still wrote in the background.
Okay.
And then the music land thing came up, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. It'd be a lot of fun. And so, we just got up there. We had one rehearsal. We got up and played, and it felt great. It felt like we'd played yesterday. There really is a chemistry between us as musicians. It's really cool. Yeah, probably the most I've ever had in any band I've been in, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's amazing because you probably followed an unconventional path to get together, the four of you, right? But
yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Working so well.
Yep.
So outside of Apple and Spotify, you also have a big presence on Bandcamp.
Yes.
How important is Bandcamp to musicians like yourself these days?
I think it's very important because people can actually go on there and purchase music and pay what they want.
Yeah.
Instead of just streaming. I mean, musicians make nothing out of streaming these days. It's all into touring and things like that. So I think Bandcamp's great because if you get enough of a following and people are generous enough, they'll pay what they want to pay. And it's a good little way to make a bit of extra money off your tunes, especially during COVID when we couldn't gig. There was no income for anybody.
No.
Yeah, musicians really struggle. We were the first ones to go and the last ones to come back in Melbourne. So, yeah. So now Bandcamp is very, very important. And I think it's really good. It's good for musicians. Yeah,
definitely. So for all of the people watching, please log on to Bandcamp and search up Riding Northbound. All of those 5 tracks are available. And from what you say, in 2023, we're going to see even more music from there. Any plans to put it out in a physical format, vinyl, CD?
Yes, we've definitely spoken about that, and I was like, we have to press the vinyl. We have to. So we're gonna do a run of we're gonna do a run of vinyl. It'll be on CD as well, and also on all the streaming services and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna do a run of all of it. Yeah. So yeah.
How important has vinyl become for musicians as well? I mean, it's just a massive resurgence, isn't it?
I mean, look, I've got the bug. I'll admit. I mean, I used to buy vinyl as a kid and all that sort of stuff, and you kind of sway away from it because technology takes over.
Oh yeah,
and exactly. I think it's huge. I think it's massive for musicians. I mean, all these albums are getting repressed, and it's all going out there. I think it's really, really good. It's a real positive thing, I think. And for young people now that didn't really experience the first vinyl, surge or whatever you want to call it, to buy something physical and open up that cover and that smell, and you know what it's like, to drop that needle in it. It's great.
Mate, back in the 80s, I used to buy a vinyl record based on the cover alone. Now that you research a band, you just go onto Apple or Spotify and you've got it within a millisecond. So there is special about vinyl and reading all of the liner notes and so forth.
Absolutely. And I think as well, like music's so fleeting now. I mean, because you're spoiled for choice. All you do is pay your subscription. You hear a song a few times and it gets lost in your playlist because you've got so much out there to listen to.
Oh, that's right.
Whereas you buy a record and leave that next to your stereo, you're going to come home every night for a month or two like we used to do. And you're going to listen to that record.
Exactly. And play it. And honestly, I can't remember the last time I played a full album on the streaming services. But the vinyl, you sit there and you listen to it from the first track right to the last, right?
I agree, yeah. And look, I'm rediscovering my collection, honestly, because, I mean, you're not going to get up change a song every 2 seconds. You just put it on and you sit back with a beer or whatever you're going to do and you enjoy it. And
Yeah.
it sounds so much better too. I know everyone has a different opinion, but I think it just does. It sounds great.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, you're right. You listen to a whole record instead of just random songs. I think it's great. I think it's a really, really good thing that it's come back.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Most definitely.
yeah.
Diggs, I'm going to ask one final question before we wrap up.
Sure.
For any young musicians starting out there, particularly drummers, what's the best advice that you can give them? Is it to get those pillows around them and find the beat?
All right, my best advice. My nephew's a drummer. His name's Orlando Murphy, and he's really good. He's 18 now, and he's playing gigs and stuff. So, but whenever him and his mates ask me, what do you think? First thing is practice. Practice. That's any musician, whether you're a drummer or whatever you are. Practice. Put the time in. But another piece of advice I give anybody is play with as many people as you have the opportunity to play with, because you stick to one band, you're limiting yourself. Everyone's got a different voice. Everyone's got a different way of playing, a different energy. And for me, I was always in 5 or 6 bands. I was jumping from studio to studio, and as much as I could fit in. And that was invaluable. I learned so much from that, because you learn how to collaborate and improvise and feed off people's energies. So I think practice as much as you can. And also, yeah, I think just play with as many musicians as you can get your hands on, and feed off everybody. You're always learning. Doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the best advice I could think to give anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to say that. We've asked a similar question with a number of other interviews that we've done, and they've said the exact same thing. Play with as many people and play with as many diverse styles as you can. Even
Absolutely.
though the country mightn't be your style of music, go play it, because you learn something different to incorporate into your own style.
Yeah, I think there's so much to be said about all of that. Yeah, I really do. And it's benefited me so much. I mean, I do a lot of session work now, and I think in a month I did a full-on blues soul record. The week later I went in and did a full-on metal record, and then I went back to our rock stuff, and it's so much fun. I mean, don't why pigeonhole yourself? Music's music. It's subjective and it's fun, and there's so much to explore. So
that's right.
Yeah, just sink your teeth into everything you can, I think. Just get out there, Yeah.
It's all about the experience, right, mate? You just
Absolutely.
Musical styles, and you do learn from it.
Yeah. Yep. I agree totally. Yeah.
Diggs, I know you're a busy man. You're out there planning the next vinyl record from Riding Northbound. You've got a lot of work to do, mate. On behalf of Rockhouse Mag, we really wish you the best. For the fans out there, go onto Bandcamp and search up Riding Northbound. Listen to their tracks. You're not going to be disappointed. You'll also find it on the streaming services as well. Diggs, any final words for your fans out there?
Keep your ears peeled, because there's a lot of stuff coming from us in the next 12 months. So hopefully early next year we should have an album out, and then we're going to start touring it. So yeah, keep your ears to the ground. There's stuff coming. Yeah.
Also, fans, check out the Facebook page. I do apologize. We'll probably see that Musicland video up there very soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Fantastic.
It'll be up there.
Great information on what's happening in the life of Riding Northbound. Diggs, It's an absolute pleasure. Again, on behalf of Rockhouse Mag, really appreciate your time.
Mate, thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Great chat.
Thanks, mate. Take care.
Thanks, mate. See you later.